Hello, everybody. Welcome to What the Frick Live. I'm your host, Emily Stakely, Menshouse. What the heck?
What
Already
was that?
starting off. What the heck?
What the hell? Uh-oh.
Emily
We're wide now.
Menshouse.
Yeah, there we go. There we
Go
go.
back. What the heck was that,
That
Will?
was a Freudian slip or something. I don't know.
On the fly tonight.
Uh-oh.
Shoot, that should not be on the fly at all.
No, it shouldn't. No. It should
So
be on the back
anyway,
burner.
I'm starting to sweat already. This is not
Uh-oh.
normal. This is not normal. Everybody have pink eye in both eyes. So that's why I'm not on camera tonight. If you're going to watch, we are streaming live on YouTube, Rumble, and X this evening. So we appreciate everybody listening to that. I have Will Martinez with me, Dark Fringe Radio. What's up, Will?
What is going on, Emily? Well, listen, thanks so much. Yeah, got a lot of stuff going on at Dark Fringe Radio. Just released a new episode with interview we did with Miss Christiana Gaudet. She is a tarot card master. She's been reading tarot for over 30 years. And wonderful lady. We talked about like a lot of the historical nature of the tarot cards. We got into a lot of the misconceptions, things of that nature. But it was a really good conversation with somebody who was very, very experienced in what she does. So check it out, darkfringeradio.com.
Does she have her own cards?
She collects like decks of cards. So she has like over 1,000 decks of cards.
Holy smokes.
But she only uses she says that she only uses like 3 to 5 decks for her practice, and that's it. She doesn't use any of the other ones. It's weird.
Wow.
Yeah, it's interesting stuff.
We're all collectors. Speaking of, do you collect anything, Will?
Who, me? Oh, wow. Do I collect anything now? Probably not, but I have a pretty good collection of comic books and baseball cards that I've still kept.
I don't know if I really truly collect anything. Over the years when I was younger, coin collection. And I think I still have a pretty mean coin collection down in my basement. I'm gonna have to go dig that out this summer and see. But yeah, I was a big geek into coins back in the day.
Yeah,
in high school.
That's cool.
And then my son does football, basketball, baseball, and I've bought him. Oh Lord have mercy! I've bought him. I'm embarrassed to say, because I'm getting involved with him. We have our own Excel sheet forms, and getting stuff together. And then the house fire with his dad that happened in January, and that's another reason why I took off. Was due to the house fire. He lost a big set of that collection. That he had, but we have really great friends in a community here locally in Ashland, Kentucky, and we had quite a bit of people. They drop off cards and stuff for Jet for his.
Oh, that's awesome!
Yeah, so
okay,
appreciate it. So anyway, check out Will's podcast, darkfringeradio.com, and they can follow you on Facebook,
everywhere,
Instagram, everywhere, YouTube. Go follow them there too. We appreciate you, Will. Thank you so much for being part of What the Frick Live. So we have a guest tonight, and everybody knows the first time coming back to What the Frick Live every year, January, March. March is my birthday's next week.
Uh-oh, birthday girl. You better get better before then.
Oh, I will. Okay. I will. I always get better. But I don't. It's March 13th.
Is my birthday. 2 days before the Ides merch.
Well, I was also born on Friday the 13th. So.
Oh boy. That explains a lot, Blake. No, I'm just kidding.
It does explain a lot in many, many ways, but I think it's a lucky day. But 313, I see that number everywhere, right? Well, like I send it to you like nonstop.
Listen, people don't understand. I'll get a message from Emily like on a Saturday at some random time. And she'll send me something that shows like maybe like a guest that's coming on. And for some odd reason, maybe the guest phone number has like 313 in it, or something else has 313 in it. And it just comes so randomly, but it's always around.
It's weird. Right. It's weird. Like a lot of our guests, we're going to ask Jay, that's our guest tonight. We're going to ask if he knows what 313 means, or if he's seen that number 313. So we're going to bring our guest on tonight. We have Mr. J.D. Hill. He has Studio 6 Media Productions. He's a podcaster. I have supported him for many years. He's been on some of the same networks we've been on too. He has all kinds of different discussions on his show where deals with the paranormal field, spiritual community, He has researchers, authors, actors, musicians, and more. He works extremely hard for his show. He's very creative. He thinks outside the box, and we're going to bring him on right now. And I didn't play the video.
Oh, uh-oh.
Hold on, we're gonna bring him on, and we're gonna do on the fly. We're gonna bring him on and then do on the fly. Here we go. Jay Hill to the show. Thank you, Jay.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, Jay, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
I need to do applause. Well, you said today, I was like, is there any topics you really want to talk about? Because we can talk about anything, us three. I believe that. Conspiracy, paranormal, spiritual, anything like that. But you said on the fly today, like we'll just go off the fly. And ever since then, you brought my nightmares to the forefront of my brain. If anybody's watching here, just hit yes or message yes in the comment section, and I'll pull up Rumble here in a few moments. But the movie The Fly with Jeff Bloom. Goldblum.
Yep.
Let me play this video real quick. I'm gonna pull it up.
That's disgusting.
That's what's been going through my head all day on the fly.
Maybe I should have picked a different choice of words.
Yeah, I think so, Jay.
Well, yeah. Jay, we appreciate you coming on the show. Thank you. We always support other shows that work so daggone hard on what you do, and we appreciate you very much. So, Jay, real quick, I want to get into this because an hour goes by so fast. Real quick, it's called Studio 6 Media Productions.
Right.
And I talked to Will about this before we went live. Why Studio 6? Why the number 6? I have 313 and everything. I want to know number.
Yeah. Studio 6 kind of came to my birth when I was a guest on a show. Well, actually, one of my first ones, and there was a lot of dead air on that first show, and it was. And as you know, as being a podcaster, and you know that dead air is not really a good thing to have. So I just thought after I got done, I was like, I think I can do this myself. And that was almost 4 years by. And I was like, okay. And so then when I was thinking about names for podcasts, Studio 6 Paranormal Podcast came to my mind. It's a play on words, 2 S's, 2 P's. So I thought, okay, that rolls off the tongue. Okay, that works. And then I've changed the name of Studio 6 a couple different times because either somebody had it or somebody had it, or it just wasn't something that I was comfortable with, So this just Studio 6 Productions, which I really liked, but there's actually a big company in New York and in London with the same LLC. So, and plus the fact that goes back to the CIA.
Studio 6 goes to the CIA.
Studio 6 Productions was actually an op that they were in like 78, I think it was. When they were trying to release the hostages. The operation was called Studio 6 Productions.
Holy smokes. See, I didn't know about this. Now you're going to start a rabbit hole with me.
Well, all you got to do is look it up and Google it and just put in Studio 6 Productions CIA, and it'll come up with the whole thing of why that was used. So I kind of got away with
Argo.
Huh?
Does this deal with Argo, like the movie Argo? Yeah. It came from Studio 6 Productions, Argo. Like, you remember the movie Argo that they went to go save the hostages?
Yeah.
Argo, F yourself?
Yeah, that's probably the one that's connected to that. So I decided to change it to Studio 6 Media Production because of the fact that I didn't want anybody suing me or whatnot. So when I put media in there, it made sense because of the fact that I am, bringing information to people. Learned information and stuff like that. So just thought it worked. It sits, but I like it.
It's a good name. I like it.
Mm-hmm. I like it too. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Will, if you have any backup.
Yeah. Yeah, no, Jay, I wanted to talk about some of the topics that you talk about in your podcast, and it's very synchronicity-ish or whatever you want to call it with the stuff that we do here on What the Frick Live, and then also my podcast. But we're starting to see a lot of people, throw out the conspiracy theorists, that word out there a lot, and it gets kind of misconception. There's like a big misconception behind that. In my opinion, at least. What do you feel about that as far as, conspiracy theorists and it being a bad word or whatever they want to call it?
I work with one. Okay. So I've heard everything you could possibly know of conspiracies. So and God bless him. I love this guy. He's a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
And I work with him. We work in a restaurant together. I'm actually a grill chef. So, when he didn't have a vehicle and he lived close by, I would always give him a ride to work. And believe me, you can only take so much from somebody about conspiracy theories.
He's laughing right now because he knows me.
Yeah,
that's what it is. Yeah. He's laughing because of me, aren't you, Will?
Right. Yeah.
313.
Yeah. If you want to know what 313 is.
Well, I want to tell you that's the frame that the CIA shot JFK in the brain.
Yeah, it signifies growth, progress, and forward movement.
I'm all for that.
Yeah, that's what you're doing though, Emily, right now. Really, if you really think about it.
Yeah. My address, even my home address, is 313. I didn't even know. I didn't even recognize it because there's a fourth number in there. I'm not going to tell everybody about it, but 313, then the fourth number. I got a new mailbox last year and I started putting stickers on it. I'm sorry, Jay, I interrupted.
No,
and I started putting the new stickers on. I was like 313 because I don't say it as 313 in the fourth number. I put the two numbers and the last two numbers together. That's how I say that. And I was like 313, my own freaking house number. My birthday, everything. Like it's super weird. But go ahead, Jay. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, that's totally fine. It's your show. Come on now.
Well, it's you're the guest. And
this is what happens when you have two podcasters that are like apologizing to each other. Hey, no, it's okay. No, it's okay.
Yeah.
But you have a conspiracy person. You were taking them home and stuff. So
yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah. And I can only take so much of it. I don't fall into conspiracy theories. I usually know. You can tell me something I already don't know, and it's not part of my purview. It's not part of what I do, path I'm on. I know all that BS and all that conspiracy, all that stuff's out there. Some of it's true, some of it's not, but it doesn't affect me. You know what I mean? Unless it affects me personally, physically, and mentally, it's not on my path. I've got bigger fish to fry. I've got bigger things to do. I don't do conspiracy theories at all. But I mean, if somebody wants to spot them out, that's fine. That's what they could do. But it doesn't really bother me one iota. It's not something that spiritually, I have to say, it does not affect me unless it affects me physically, mentally, or spiritually.
Yeah, I get that. That's a good mantra to have. Absolutely. Yep. Let's talk about some of those bigger fish that you wanted to fry, though.
Well, I'd like to. I'm working on trying to creating a documentary series on historical locations that have basically untold history. Some of it, other places are like Gettysburg. There's other places like Mount St. Helens. Places like that have had traumatic events or tragic events. You know what I mean? And I want to be able to document the spiritual side of it, the effects, and some of the history that people didn't talk about. And me being gifted and being able to connect with certain entities that are still remaining. I just thought that was something that I could put my talent to and my gifts to good use. Instead of just being a paranormal investigator, which I still am, but I just don't a lot of the paranormal field right now is
it's flooded.
Sick. It's sick and infected. I mean, it's the best way to I mean, it's just a lot of it has to do with a lot of drama, and I don't do that. And I just, really, really like to be able to tell the truth of certain locations that weren't told, some of history and moments in time and stuff like that. So yeah.
Well, I have a question for you, Jay, with some of these locations, because you did mention Gettysburg, and that's like a hot spot for paranormal activity and everything. And I've been to Gettysburg. It's about 4 to 5 hours from me and things. How do you feel? Because I live in Ashland, Kentucky, and I live all these big, huge Waverly, Trans-Allegheny, all these big, huge, the state penitentiary, Ohio State Penitentiary, all these places are located like 2 hours or less from my location. I live in a great place to do these investigations. I've never been drawn to these locations so much here in my area. How do you feel about these places that are put on TV a lot, and spiritually connecting with them? Because I almost feel like they're dumping grounds, and I wouldn't trust anything that I would come across at these locations anymore being authentic.
Right. Well, that's a good point. Just because of the simple fact that there's a lot of different places that everybody knows of that are supposedly haunted, and they have this and they have that. Having the foot traffic, immense foot traffic of some of these places can basically trot down on some of that energy. It's whatever energy that those people are bringing. Some of it can be remain. Some of it can, stir up certain things. I mean, I'm not a big, huge fan of all these big, huge places that everybody charges an astronomical amount of money for people to investigate. That's their thing. I just don't do it. But as far as like Gettysburg, I have historical ancestral ties to Gettysburg.
Oh, interesting.
I have a great uncle, because my parents were older when they had me, and my grandfather, my dad's dad, was born in 1881. So I have it was his uncle. I don't remember who it was. I have to go back in my tree, but there's a captain in the Confederacy. His last name was O'Dooley, and he was a credited captain. And I've always been drawn to Gettysburg. I've always been drawn to somewhere around Gettysburg, So yeah, that's just, I go where I'm led. I'm kind of like, if I'm drawn someplace, but if somebody comes up to me and say, hey, let's go to Penhurst, or let's go, I'd be like, I really don't have any connection there, or I don't really feel I need to go there. So I don't. My biggest theory is, if I don't want to do it, I'm not going to do it.
There you go. I like that. I like that.
I like it too. And I appreciate you telling me that, because there's so many people, especially me in Kentucky, and I've been a guest on other podcasts, especially paranormal podcasts, and have you been here? No. Why? Well, I'm not drawn to it, and then I always worry about who's actually going in and out, and the owners of these locations, are they really keeping a tight lid on who they're going in and out of these places? Because I don't trust people anymore, and some people do some crazy stuff. The Bel Air House in Ohio, I heard her, the owner of that place, on a podcast one night, and she told a story that was one of the most bizarre things I've ever heard. And I was like, that's it. I am never going to go to these places. And thankful for her, Christy, I think it's her name, Kristen, that owns the Bel Air House in Ohio. At least she cared about her place to have that intuition. I need to go check on that house that night. In these larger locations, I don't know if they really necessarily have that. So I think you're going in to a place that's chaotic, it's a mess, and what's really authentic to that location or not, it's kind of dumping grounds in many aspects, in my opinion.
Right. Yeah, I try to go to places that have some type of ancestral tie, some type of, I want to go someplace that I'm connected to. And I know in the past that your show that talked about politics and other things
Oh.
like that. So I don't talk about politics, but I have a political family in my ancestral line, and you probably would be surprised to know who he is.
I'm curious.
Give me it. What's the first name start with?
It's his first name is William.
Uh-oh.
He's got it's my last name.
Oh, William Hill.
William Hill. Yeah.
No,
On this hill,
William Henry Hill.
Mhm.
on this hill, I will die.
If you go back and look,
William Henry Hill. Let me look it up.
He's got it's on a North Carolina Wikipedia page, and
Okay.
He was associated with John Adams.
Okay.
He knew who.
Oh, here we go. I think so.
Yeah.
No, you got a William, you got a Hill here tonight. I mean,
William Hill, Henry. I have a nephew named Henry. Does that count? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. 1867. He was married to Mary Ann Hill, I think, or
Nash.
1869, 1881, which is, we all know 1881. Oh wow.
If you go back,
you all kind of look alike.
Yeah. If you go all the way back to, he was married. It was 17. It was right before the 1800s. If you go back, it's a 17 something. He was married 3 times. His third wife is because he didn't have any children. The first 2 wives, I think it was the third one. He had 2
First World War
kids.
is what I'm looking at.
Yeah. And he had 2 sons, Henry and Joshua. Henry is from my line, where he decided he didn't want to go to college to be a lawyer and all that. And so he wanted to be a farmer. And that was the line where my dad's. So, yeah.
Says he was second lieutenant of the United States Army. Is that correct? Civil War soldier, second lieutenant of the United States Army. William H. Hill. Is that the right person?
No, probably not. That maybe it might be. I don't know, because I haven't into the Gettysburg side of it was on my, if I'm recalling right now, it's on my grandma's side.
It says the first entry in diary is dated January 1st of 1862 when Mr. Hill was a company officer stationed in Frederick, Maryland.
Maybe.
1862.
Yeah, I'd have to go back and look. But yeah, so like I said, I have a little bit of politics in me. I have a little bit of, it's my third great grandfather, and he is actually, his obituary is in the Library of Congress.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
What was his name?
William Henry Hill.
So that's the same. So that's your grandfather. I was thinking this is an uncle.
No.
Okay.
He's not. My third great grandfather. Yep.
Okay. Wow.
Hill. Yep. So, yeah, he was appointed U.S. District Attorney in North Carolina by George Washington.
Okay. Let me top in some more words if you can hear me topping.
Well, Jay, let me ask you a question while she's typing and looking. That's interesting. So now it sounds like you're more on a personal journey than just going out there on a whim,
right.
And going on to these these places that really have a personal connection to you. Is there a place where you haven't gone yet? Is that you feel that
I haven't gone to Gettysburg?
Oh, so you haven't gone to Gettysburg?
No, okay. I haven't. I haven't gone to Gettysburg. I'm hoping to plan a trip with my camera guy friend Josh Hughes. Me and him want to go to Gettysburg in October of this year.
Well, hell.
They got the Gettysburg Bash every year.
I'll go with you, Jay.
Yeah.
I'll go with you. Let's do it.
Yeah, that's enough notice.
Right. So as far as Paracons go, yeah, I mean, I did it a few times, and it's good. My other host from the Cemetery Files show, she lives in Tennessee, and so she does Paracons, and she represents Cemetery Files and Studio 6, and and I did it, and I was not a big fan of it. The networking was great, but I just Yeah. I don't have the money to spend on vendor booths and all that. I
Jay,
hate to
you're not
say it.
alone in that.
Yeah. It's great to meet people, but from the things that I've heard in the paranormal field about certain paracons, and I'm just going to kind of stay away. I have a small circle. I do my own thing. I don't ride coattails. I don't rely on anybody. I just do my own thing. And if people want to collaborate with me, that's great. If I think that it's going to work, then great. But yeah, there's people that have contacted me that I'd be like, yeah, absolutely not. I don't.
You're not alone in that. I'm just going to be blunt about it, because I've been in the paranormal for a long time and gone to some of these things back in the day. When I say back in the day, it's like the early 2000s, mid 2000s. I've only gone to one Paracon since 2017. And I went repetitively on that. It's a mid South Paranormal Conference, but I loved it because it dealt with a lot of people in Kentucky from where I live in Kentucky. But other than that, I don't go because the drama that comes from that and the fighting that comes from that and the affairs, let's just throw it out there, that comes from that. People cheat.
Yeah.
Is that the thing?
You better believe it.
Paracon booty out there? Really?
Paracon booty.
Oh wow. That's a new shirt, by the way.
Oh my gosh, I think I get the name for our next episode on the Paranormal Triangle.
Paracon booty.
Well, what's his name? Scott Grunwald, or his last name, he passed away. I did meet him and worked on a project with him back in the day. But Scott got it Parahor, like his shirts, the Parahor shorts, shirt. Oh my gosh, say that, shirts, Parahor shirts.
No, yeah, you're right.
Like it's true. It's true. Yeah. Like you go.
I didn't think about that.
Well, you go to these daggone events and everything, and like it's like I've never seen anything. And these are guy friends out there. I love you very much. Some of you all been on my show multiple times, but I know what you do. I know what you do, and it ain't good. And I know some of you all got girlfriends. And I know some of y'all got
Secret Diaries.
Red Shoe Diaries.
Yeah, so the red shoe, it's a Paranormal Secret Diaries.
I know. Well, what did you say? Booty.
Yeah, Paracon booty. Yeah, Paracon booty. That's what it is.
Let me tell you, there's so many different spirits going on at these Paracons. And I don't want a part of it either. Like I get it. The Gettysburg Bash, I know some of that stuff goes on at the Gettysburg Bash, but I know the people that run that, and they're very good people. Like that's not their intention.
Yeah, but that's not their fault. No,
it's not their fault. It's not their intention.
The people.
Right. But I always say, everybody asks me because I really want to go. I'm hoping maybe this be the year ago. And last year I was really wanting to go, and I have people like, "Are you going to be at the hotel? Are you going to be at the hotel?" I said, "If I go, I'm getting an Airbnb. I know." I'm not going to be associated what goes on at the hotel after 9 p.m. That's it. That's it. But that's what happens in this paranormal community, Jay. Like you're not alone in what you're thinking.
I don't get me wrong. I love to meet people. I love to meet new people, the paranormal people, and all like see them, Bigfoot, UFOs, all that. I mean, some of them are really great people, but there's just some that are suspect, and I just choose not to align myself with some of that stuff that goes on, and with certain teams, certain people, and I do my own thing. I'm forging. I have my own path. Spirit put me on this path for a reason, and this is what I'm sticking to. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
Well, we appreciate you, Jay.
I
really do.
Yeah,
really do. I've watched your shows for a number of years. I was like, you got to come onto this network we're on, like RU Media and some other things too over the year, Manifest and stuff. I support you. I believe in you, and you're a great person to have in our community. I appreciate you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you saying that.
Absolutely.
You work hard.
From what my friend Dave Taylor from Our Haunted Lives, who's also the other host on Paranormal Triangle, has always told me, he says, you're consistent. And
that's the hard part.
I said, and it's not easy to be consistent, because there's been times where
that's the hardest part.
There's been times where I just hang all of it up. it's either stressful or it's just like, I'm like, no, I have to just learn to adapt to certain changes that are going on and not be a part of some of this negativity and drama and naysayers. And I need to align myself with the things that are going to either lift me up or to be productive in that case.
Absolutely. And that's what I say. And I'll let Will ask some questions here because I talk a lot. I'm sorry.
That's you're fine.
No.
But
that's what you're supposed to do. You're a host.
Well, here's the thing too. Like people ask about the podcast that we do. Now we took a extended break. It was not planned, and it's happened before in the past. But they asked me, well, what makes a successful podcast? I said, be consistent. Pick a date, pick a time, and do it no matter what, unless you absolutely can't, like and stuff. But we're blessed enough as What the Frick Live. We've had so many shows. We did throwbacks, so that filled in that 7:00 p.m. on Friday night place. But be consistent in podcasting. It's very hard work to start up. Don't get discouraged. Keep going and pick a date and a time, even if it's not live. If it's pre-recorded, pick the same day and time to release that audio. Every week. And if you can't release it that week, if you have enough shows that you can do a fill-in, do a throwback or something, it really helps with podcasting. And I appreciate you talking about that too, Jay, a whole lot. But I'll let Will follow up or ask some questions.
Yeah, no, thank you, Emily. So Jay, I know that you're on your own, personal path here, but it's hard to probably ignore or not, or stay out of the radar of what's going on in the paranormal field on, television. And the things that are out there right now on television, in my opinion, I've been watching things on television as far as in the paranormal field for a very long time. But as of recently, there's so much of this proliferation of this, dramatized type of, paranormal investigations that are out there. What's your take on what you see out there currently? Do you find any investigators out there that are on TV that you would say, oh, I would actually go on an investigation with this person? Or are there some of those ones out there to say no?
I know a few that either have been on TV or are on TV. They're friends of mine. There's ones that I don't have any. There's ones that I've met that once was enough. To be honest, I mean, I really, as far as the whole TV aspect of it, that takes the amount of patience and the amount of drive and focus it takes to actually be on or run like a paranormal TV show is immense. It's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of hours. It's a lot of work. You just don't show up and say, here I am. And, for me, yeah, I would rather be productive in what I do. And if people want to see it either on YouTube or, see it, whatever, even if it's just a documentary type stuff, that's fine. I never set out to be famous. I mean, every kid when they were growing up had that, dreams of grandeur of, oh, I'm going to be an actress, or I'm going to be an actor, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that. Yeah. And yeah, everybody's guilty of it, but it's a matter of, if that's something that aligns with you, then make it happen. But if it's something that you want just because you want to be in the spotlight for people to say, hey, look at me, you're in the wrong business. Either you're going to use you're either going to use your talents for what you love to do, or you're just going to be just like everybody else that wants likes and hearts and everything else on their Facebook page.
Well, we got a lot of that in the paranormal field.
Yes, we do.
and it's so much so they fake evidence. And these YouTubers, that's especially the YouTubers,
the TikTokers too.
TikTokers, yes. Yeah.
Those are the worst ones. Those are the ones that really bother me the most. Because I'm not on TikTok at all. And then I get sent these TikTok videos. I'm just like,
Yeah.
It's I think since COVID, we've had the rise of YouTube even more and the TikTokers and stuff like that. But the desperation out of these people, you really have to have a gift of discernment when it comes to these individuals. But even on TV, like we all know as paranormal investigators, how freaking boring is it? How often? How often do you really truly capture something? Like it's rare. So you got to put yourself in these people's position. We're on TV. We got to do something. That's why they have these clips with ghost hunters and stuff like, oh my gosh, what was that? And how many times do I say that in an investigation? I say that a lot, honestly.
How many times is somebody going to get possessed by a demon? How about that?
Oh God, don't even bring that word up.
Oh, I mean, come on. Every episode, you're getting possessed by demons.
Zach Bagans should never step into a church as long as he's catch on fire.
Yeah, no, it's things like that because people want the views on their platform or their show or whatever, they want that aha or that thrill moment. You know what I mean? And that's why they throw that D word around like it's nothing. And if I've said before on my last show, if some of these people who claim to have dealt with or seen this or done that and thought, oh my God, that's just crazy. If you would actually see and have interaction with one of these beings, you would probably shit yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you would run screaming like a 8-year-old girl. And yeah.
Well, I've always said if God really wants to show us the spiritual realm, our minds couldn't wrap around it because it's so big, it's so large, and it's terrifying in many ways. Absolutely. And I think these people that go and play around with that, like, good luck to them, because I think that comes back on them eventually, like later on in life.
Right.
And because it's something serious, it's not anything to be played around with.
Right.
Especially for views.
So I can tell you, the darkness is what I call it, was really, really pissed at me after I had accepted Christ. Yeah, really mad.
Well, I believe that.
So mad that came to me that night and sat on me and said, I own you. How could you do this to me? You're going to pay for this, whole 9 yards. Yeah. That was.
No, you said sat on me. That makes me think of sleep paralysis.
Sleep paralysis, yeah.
Oh no, I was totally awake for that. I was totally awake.
But what do you think about sleep paralysis? Do you think that's something demonic, or do you think that's something like oppressive?
I think a lot of the sleep paralysis, because I've experienced sleep paralysis when I used to drink. Because of the fact that my brain was so active because I drank so much, and that it's not that I passed out, but because of the fact that I woke up gasping for air because of the fact that I couldn't move or whatever, my brain had basically shut down because I was so inebriated. So I don't drink anymore. It's been 10, 12 years.
Way to go.
So
okay.
Yeah. So yeah. I think part of that is depending on what kind of chemicals you put in your body, depending on how your body deals with that in sleep. Yeah, so there's different opinions on it, but yeah, for me, I know how real that was, and I know what I experienced.
So did you see? I'm sorry, Jay.
No, go ahead.
So did you see this entity sitting on you? Like, did you see what this entity looked like?
It was like a big shadow figure.
Okay.
Yeah.
It
Yep.
was heavy.
Oh, yeah, it was heavy enough to where I couldn't catch my breath. I could breathe, but I couldn't really catch my breath. It was more or less, I was so afraid because I went to bed that night after praying, and yeah, I got pulled off the bed. It's just the entity said that, how could you do this to me? And I will take your firstborn son. Well, I only have a girl that was, she's in her 30s now. But right after he said that, he threw me into a dream where I was searching for my son, which I didn't have, which was, it was all a lie. It was all lie tactics. I mean, that's just the way, that's Deception. The way the dark. Yeah, basically it was the way that the darkness works. So I was terrified for a long time after that to have any kids because of what that happened.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? So, so yeah, that was, I've ran into some unsavory spirits in the past. Nothing as bad as when I had, and it was right the day of that I had said the prayer and accepted Christ, and then all of a sudden it was like a veil came off my head and I could see for the first time in my life. And all of a sudden I went home and I prayed and this and that, and then that happened. And
wow.
I can't even describe
it. Reminds me of Amazing Grace. I was blind, but now I can see.
Mm-hmm.
That's
exactly
warfare.
And that's the whole thing, because I basically, for a couple of years or months after, about a couple of years, I would say after that, I struggled with my faith. I was full head on into it. And then I started to realize what my faith was and what direction I was going, and realizing that this is a lot bigger than me, but I was still struggling. And I had a dream. I think one night I laid down on the floor and I cried because of the fact that I felt like I was failing miserably in life. And once I did that, I had a dream of being on a bank, and it was vivid as I can possibly even remember. And I saw Christ standing there in all his glory, and it was a darkness and a storm, and he was like, it was like on the banks of a sea or an ocean. And right behind me was a cliff, and I saw all these people climbing this cliff and falling down. They were all dressed in monk like robes, but I didn't see their hands or their feet or their face. It was just these cloaks, and they would keep falling. And I kept trying to crawl and climb up this, and I would fall and I would fall. I got down and I turned around and I said, "What am I doing wrong?" I said, I keep falling. He turned around, didn't say a word, and all he did was wave his hand like, "Do it again." And I woke up. And I woke up halfway up on the cliff.
Maybe don't ever give up, maybe, possibly. And then, honestly, I think there's a difference between religion and relationship.
Oh, yeah. I've always had a relationship.
Yeah. I've been religious. Honestly, I went to Bible college. I went through all that. I was very hard on myself. I thought I had to pray so many times a day. I thought I'd have to do all that stuff. I was very, very hard on myself until I had my son. And then I understood what a relationship was, and grace and mercy and unconditional love. And so my relationship, the day I had my son, my relationship with my parents changed because they were always right. And then my relationship with Jesus changed that day. It was not religious anymore. I had a relationship. I understood what it was, because I'm going to make mistakes. My son's going to make mistakes. My love for my kid will never change. It'll never change. And I will support him even in his failures. Like I want to be that safe parent that he comes to and is like, "Mom, I made a mistake. I messed up. Can you help me?" And that's how Jesus is. And so I think a lot of your dream there too, seeing those monks in those cloaks and stuff, also is maybe a possible representation of religion, and that's not what he wants. He wants a relationship. So that was a really good testimony for you to talk about, Jay. Thank you.
Right. Yeah, no problem. I mean, that to me was a pivotal moment for me, But then as I grew in later in life and learned and the things that I went through, and I've always experienced like the paranormal, and I knew certain things and this and that. And then when I learned the gifts that I have of being a medium and being this, and it's like, okay, that went against what I believed in. But there again, I kept hearing from spirit saying, the picture is way bigger than you think it is, and it's not black and white.
Is it mediumship or is it the gift of discernment?
No.
I have the gift of discernment. and I was sucked into mediumship and psychic medium stuff, but now that what I know about gifted discernment, like I think that we can use these gifts that more portray possibly
right,
what Jesus wants, prophets of the
right,
Bible and things,
right.
and it's a discernment rather than mediumship. Does that make sense when I say that?
No, it does. It makes lots of sense. I mean, I basically I struggled with that whole idea of that concept, anyways. But I know that I have gifts. I know
You do.
I know that I'm able to do certain things. I'm able to see certain things. Usually if I would, it depends on who I align myself with or who I'm connected to. Like if the night before, I would have visions of certain places that I could reflect on or whatever, and be like, okay. And I would talk to my buddy Josh and say, okay, are you working on something? And he's like, yeah, I'm working on putting together an investigation, this and that and the other thing. And then it would be we would go exactly to the place I saw the night before.
Mm-hmm.
I would have like knowledge of all this stuff of years before and what it was and who was there and this and that. So I do believe that part of my gifts is to help those understand that the picture is bigger once you cross over. To stay on this side, you need to let go of the guilt, you need to let go of the fear, you need to let go of all this stuff and to trust the light and its wholesomeness. You know what I mean? It's so, and that is, I've always felt that my whole being is always wanted to be able to help people. Nothing else. I just want to be able to help people.
That's right. Yeah.
So
absolutely, that's the business. Helping people, helping families, homes, all that stuff. Well, I'll have you follow up. I've talked a lot. I feel like
no, that's quite all right. I think it's been pretty good so far. It's been great having Jay on the podcast. I mean, Jay, so you talk about these gifts that you have, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you being a podcaster and having your own show, has your gifts or maybe the entities that you are able to tap into or channel, have they ever like maybe given you a warning, like not have this person on your podcast?
Oh, that's
yes.
a good question, Will. I'm sorry. I've had that.
No, yes,
yeah.
I have. Yes, I have actually.
Yeah.
It's more of in the form of a suggestion, because as we know that spirit basically, the angels that are out there, or the angels that guard me, basically, and others that have angels and entities that protect them and protect their spirituality. We have free will on here. We have free will on the other side. As soon as we cross into light, it's a whole different game. It's a whole different thing. But until then, you still have that choice. You know what I mean? That free will. So when I would use my intuition. I basically, if it's something if a vibe came to me that said, this person doesn't align with my frequency, because I believe in frequencies and I believe in people have their own frequency and they can mesh with other frequencies or they could not. Some of them are learning experiences. Some of them are, hey, I need to stay away from that person. You know what I mean? So and that's where you kind of like that whole discernment. You gotta understand where your frequency is to where it lines up with. And I've ran into some people that have been wanting to, or have in the past wanting to be on the show, on one of my shows or whatever. And I didn't. I just felt that it just wasn't going to be a good show. There was one time I did, and
you went against your own judgment, didn't you? You had to, right? One time.
Yeah.
One time for the one time.
Right. So a lot of people don't realize that going against your own judgment is a mainstay, because of the fact that we are individuals and we want to do our own thing. And when that ego comes in and says, hey, we can do this. We don't need anybody to tell us what to do. It's a normal emotional reaction. We all go through it. We all have it. But those are teachable moments. Those are all learnable moments that we can say, I did that, but on this time, I'm not going to do that. And what a lot of people don't realize, when we come to Earth and we're born and we have our parents and all this, we are in this body to learn. And this planet is the hardest planet to learn off of. I'll tell you right now. So basically, spiritually, physically, everybody goes through something different. There's something that we all learn from, that we all go through differently. You know what I mean? That there's a person there's no same person. The frequencies are all different. There's no same person.
Frequency.
Yeah. You know what I mean? We're not on the same frequency, so to speak.
But we're close.
Right. We are our own.
We're not 151.1111, but we're
right,
1.52.
Right.
We're 3.
Right. We're close.
3.13.
Right.
3.13.
Right.
Or Studio 6.
Right. See, that's what makes us individuals.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but when you get people that try in the paranormal field, you try to repeat those that others have done because they think that they got success, so why can't we get success?
No, it's totally different.
And it's totally different. Every process is different for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I just, I always tell people to be genuine, to be the attraction, not the distraction.
But how often are people truly genuine in the paranormal field? Like, I'm very genuine. I'm very upfront. I tell you how it is, stuff. But I've done this for many years.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I've gotten more feedback from people. Just they want to tell me what they think I want to hear.
Yeah.
That's a lot of it too. But picture this. Picture being at your job, okay? And that you love your job. You're doing your job.
Dude, I love my job.
And then somebody comes along and says, hey, I want to be like her. I want to do this. I want to do that. Without being their own genuine self, they're going to either try to copy you, or they're basically mimic you, or they're going to kind of create like you as an enemy. You know what I mean? Or competition. And that's where a lot of it is.
Well, that's a narcissist then. If they want to do competition, that's narcissism, which I think falls a lot in this paranormal field.
Right. It falls in everywhere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, I mean, it's just, you got to understand that there's the standard emotional range. And once you understand the emotional range of different things like that, when you're the frequency and all that.
Oh, he cut out. Will? Or is it me?
I'm here. No, it's not you.
Okay, it's Jay. He cut out.
Jay cut out.
Jay,
yeah, he's like you can't see. I don't know if you can't see or not, but he's like in mid.
Yeah, he's in mid with his hand moving.
Yep.
Okay. Jay, let me message him and say he cut out. He's probably still going.
Oh, he's going. I know. That's what we all do, right?
Yeah, we all do. Jay cut out.
You're talking about narcissism and all that stuff.
Oh, here we go.
It's
Jay's
in everything.
Back. Jay.
Yeah,
cut out for a minute. We heard it's in narcissism. Narcissism, it's in everything.
Right, and that's basically where I had it. Was all that. Okay. The different emotional ranges are in everything, and so you experience that.
But I think it's really prominent in paranormal. Like I've seen an increase in paranormal.
You would probably see the same increase if you were into art, where you're.
Well, can I just throw this out here? Because I'm just going to throw this out here, and I want to get your opinion on. And I could be wrong, everybody. And Will, I'd like to have your opinion too on this.
Mm-hmm. Everybody
knows I've gone through narcissistic abuse. I'm writing 2 books. I have one book hopefully coming out this summer, Narcissist from Soulmate to Devil. I have another book, Co-Parenting with a Narcissist, called You Can't Help Norman. And Will, you help me with that title. With narcissism, though, it deals with a lot of witchcraft and spells and things.
It's all about control.
It is control.
Well, that's what narcissists do, Emily. I mean, they say these things, and that's what spelling is. It's spells.
We get a lot of this stuff in the paranormal field, right? Mm-hmm. We have a lot of witchery. I don't want to put anybody down. That's not my point in this at all. Mm-hmm. But we have a lot of this stuff. It's really been an uptick since 2020 and since COVID. Like, I don't know what people are doing behind closed doors and stuff, but there's been an uptick in this stuff. And I do believe that it all links back to Jezebel, which Jezebel, if you don't know the story of Jezebel and King Ahab and stuff, you got to research them and how they play and how she mixed and like made mixtures of things and confused people. There's a lot of confusion. There's a lot of stuff. And that was the heart of Israel, which to me, that makes the heart of every individual that you go through. Like Jezebel can F you up in the middle of everything in your heart of hearts. And I think I'm seeing a lot of that in the paranormal field. I don't want to say these people are narcissists by any means. Like, it takes a lot for me to say we all have narcissistic traits.
Oh, we do.
All of us.
Oh, yeah.
But there's a spectrum of narcissism after I've gone through therapy. And I think a lot of it deals with this paranormal field. That's why we see a lot of drama in the paranormal field. Everybody's battling. Everybody's like going against each other. Everybody's doing other things at different locations. Well, she found out this. Well, we proved her wrong and stuff. It's absolute chaos. And and you know, go ahead, Jay. I'm sorry.
No. It's a lot of it is about one-upping on everybody. I can do better than that person, or I can do this, and I can solidify this because I'm doing this or I'm doing that. They want to one up everybody because they want to be in control. And if everybody knows where the world is at now and who wants to be in control, if you don't know, you're living under a rock. And that's all I'm going to say about that. I know the darkness side and I know the light side. I know where both sides are. All I can do is walk the path that has been adjoined to me. You know what I mean? Until the side of darkness and comes and attacks me physically, mentally, or spiritually, then I've got a problem. You know what I mean? But I know where both sides are, and I know that a lot of it, the way the world is today, is effed up. But we all know that the positive always comes out.
Right.
Oh, positivity always wins. Truth, love, happiness always wins. I believe
because you know what, they're too busy, killing each other and at each other's throat, and that's that's their downfall. That's their ultimate downfall at the end. Right.
So there are certain people that don't understand that, but that's neither here nor there, because of the fact that that's not where my path is. As long as I keep walking that path, straight line, instead of taking shortcuts where everybody wants to get to the end of the book.
All right, we got about 5 more minutes left here, Mr. Jay Hill. Will ask you one more question, and then I'll have an ending question for you.
Okay.
Well, Jay, my last question for tonight: where is his personal path going to take you? I know you said Gettysburg. Is there any other locations that you want to, go to after that? I mean, I know that's Gettysburg is the next, big thing on your list. But...
Well, the other thing, because I wanted to start in the Old West,
right?
You know what I mean? But I don't have a set path of which way I'm going. It's just where I'm led to. My last campaign that I wanted to try to raise funds for to do the documentary was for the Old West.
Okay,
but it just didn't. The campaign just didn't turn out. I mean.
Are we talking like Tombstone, Arizona? Or are we talking about?
Yeah, I mean, different things. I mean, I have I love Doc Holliday. For some reason, I have this connection with Doc Holliday.
Yeah.
Now, once when I was researching him basically one night, and I was kind of like, thinking about him a lot, and for some reason, when I laid down that night and was going to go to sleep, usually when I go to sleep, I can usually see other sets of eyes looking at me. I've always not really figured out what that was, but I'm used to it.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
So this time, Doc Holliday's face zoomed into me and said, "What do you want?" And so I sat up in bed. It freaked me out. Well, I was kind of like, nothing. I'm just thinking about you, because I know that he hasn't crossed. I know that he's still on this side. Now, I wanted to be able to go to his gravesite. And once
Tombstone, people, by the way, if nobody's.
And I just mentioned Tombstone out of nowhere, by the way. So, I could have picked like 18 different places in the West.
Tombstone, everybody. I want to share.
I could have said the Alamo. I could have said,
this guy's super creepy too. If you look at his picture, go ahead with your story, Jay. I'm sorry.
I've always wanted to visit his grave, and I was thinking about it, and that's him. And I thought I would really like to do some type of spiritual interview, like do an episode of one of my shows there at his gravesite. I just thought that would really be cool. And in my head, I heard this, well, why don't you, come see me or whatnot? And I was like, yeah, okay. Well, that cost money, and I ain't got that kind of money.
Yeah.
And it's a long ways away. And then, without missing a beat, I heard, why don't you take one of them flying things? I was like, yeah, okay. So
he already knows what an airplane is already, huh?
Right.
Yeah.
So that's on my list, but that's basically one of the things that I want to be able to do. But that goes back to the whole wanting to help people.
Right.
Because, my campaign for that fundraising was called Pioneer and Bloodshed, because of the fact that there was so much violence, and there's a lot of different entities that have not crossed that are still angry and still, could wreak havoc in some of those old places, in those ghost towns and all this other stuff. And so.
Well, maybe you're connected to that time era too, just in general, because that's still the same time era, like the 1880s, 1840s, 50s.
Yep.
Late 1800s.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I totally am. I had another spiritual person tell me too that I have had ties to the 1800s, the Old West. I used to have visions of walking in. I was at a job once where I was working in a warehouse, and I would stand in this one spot to pick these orders. Every time I would get in that spot, I would have this vision of me walking into a saloon from the Old West every single time. And it was in San Francisco. And it was every single time. It didn't matter. It was daily. It was every day, at least once or twice a day. If I was in that one spot on that rack where I was pulling this order, that thought would come to my mind.
Was that place ever a saloon at one point in the history?
No, that was it. It's in Wisconsin.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wisconsin, the cheese, the Big Easy.
Big
Easy of the North is what I call Wisconsin, because there's a lot of monster stuff going on.
Oh, believe me, that's my third. And that's weird because, I actually have ties to that era too.
Lord have mercy. Here we go. We're going to have Jay on, and I'm not going to ask my questions because we are going a little bit over. So, Jay, we're going to have you come on in for part 2. With this stuff, because I have a lot of other questions. I have like 4 or 5 other questions here on my list, and hopefully I can be on camera next time. Everybody have eye dysfunction going on right now, but Jay, I really appreciate you very much. I have your YouTube and Facebook page up, but people is listening via podcast. Can you tell everybody where they can find you?
You find Studio 6 Productions and Studio Media Productions on Facebook, as well as TikTok, Twitter X, and Instagram. I'm also on Threads. You can find jd.hill on Facebook as well as Instagram.
And that's J-A-Y, people. J-D, not just the letter J.
Right. So you can follow me there. I've been trying to build my Twitter account, and even though we don't know how long it's going to last for Twitter, not Twitter, TikTok.
X. Oh,
Yeah. So, but yeah, I have some things going on my page that I hopefully will be able to, work into and get everything going. And yeah.
Well, we appreciate you coming on. I'm absolutely going to message you after the show, and we'll do a round 2 with some of the stuff.
Oh yeah, believe me, I got plenty of more stuff to talk about.
Oh, I'm sure you do.
It's a real pleasure to speak with you, Jay.
Yes,
by the way.
it is.
It
So
really is.
we're going to let you go for the evening. Thank you, Jay, so much for coming on. We appreciate you, and I'll be in touch to get you back on. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody.
Have a great evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
And there we have it, Mr. Jay Hill, JD Hill, JAYD Hill.
That's right,
dude. That sounds like an author or like off of Netflix movie.
Well,
House of Haunted Hill.
No, Joe Hill isn't Joe Hill Stephen King's son?
Is that his name?
Yeah, I think that's his real name.
Like he wrote Dr. Sleep.
Yeah. I think his name is Joe Hill. I'm not sure. It's
Hill?
Joe something. You're gonna make me Google it up right now, aren't you?
Google it. I'm not gonna Google it. Let you Google it real quick because I forget he has a really great name, JD Hill, and I appreciate him. I've supported him. I've listened to his shows over the years. So everybody, please go look him up. YouTube, all that stuff. He's lost some things too because of conspiracy stuff. We've all have.
Shadow ban.
I'm shadow ban. I'm a shadow ban for this show tonight, and I predicted it. So, but anyway, we appreciate everybody tuning in and listening. We are available on every podcast platform you can possibly mention. And next week, we're gonna have Blake. We're gonna talk cryptids next week.
All right, let's do it. I'm ready for that.
We hardly ever talk about cryptids.
Yeah, we just talked about it a few episodes ago on Dark Fringe Radio, and I'm a diehard cryptid guy, and yeah,
like we're gonna get more into this, but we're gonna have Blake. Gosh, he's gonna get mad at me. Not mad at me. He's not gonna. But I always say doucher. It's not.
Oh, you better not. That's bad.
Douchier.
Douchier. That's nice.
Douchier. He has the Lost Cryptids Conservatory podcast. He's on YouTube and stuff. He has a big a medium-sized following on YouTube, and also we don't necessarily talk about politics that much on What the Frick Live. I try to get that away from What the Frick Live, but we have like an off spin called the B System, aka the BS. And Blake is a host on the B System. Will, if you ever want to come on that side of the spectrum.
No, I don't know about politics. I
don't know. I know he doesn't, but if you ever want to, like last night we did the Royals and the Rothschilds. We didn't do America stuff.
You could do one podcast alone on each one, but yeah.
What the heck is going on in the Royals? I think they're being I think they're dissolving. But
I love the fact that Charles all of a sudden became king and doesn't look like he's going to last long, right?
Well, I said if we were in the 7-year tribulation period, that King Charles would only reign 2 to 3 years, and that's what's looking like. It's happening.
What it looks like, yeah.
So we talked about that last night on the B System, the BS.
Yes.
So Will, open invitation on the BS. If you want to.
Maybe one day I will.
But Blake participates on that show too. So he's coming on. He has his own podcast, the Lost Cryptids Conservatory. We talk about Bigfoot and all that kind of stuff on his show. Huge. He's up in Michigan, so that's a big, huge Cryptid country, really truly is. So we'll see you everybody next week there. And real quick for people listening, Will Martinez, real quick, tell everybody where they can find you.
Just go to darkfringeradio.com. Everything's right there. You can see the latest episodes. Everything's right there for you right there. You don't have to go anywhere else.
Awesome. And we appreciate everybody. Thank you so much. We'll see you next week, same time, Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with Blake Desher.
See you then.
All right. Thank you.